What's going on, Tamers? It's me, your local Garurumon promo card whale. And BT9 X record is out in Japan. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. I'm having a ton of fun trying out a lot of the new cards and the new Antibody X mechanics that have been put into play. Now, before BT9 even came out here in Japan, there was a lot of buzz on Twitter about the upcoming cards that you would need for the X record blue Garurumon Antibody X deck. And in typical Cat Mayhap fashion, armed with my credit card, I went whaling for the promo Garurumon card and the promo Wear Garurumon card, which are not easy to find, and they cost me more than I'd care to admit on camera. But if you, on the other side of this camera, do happen to have these cards on hand, or you get them before the English release of BT9, then I have a deck today that I want to show you that you could use to great success in the BT9 format, and that is going to be Blue Antibody X Garurumon. So let's take a look at the deck. So before we actually get into the deck today, I want to talk a little bit about the BT9 meta and some important points that you're going to encounter when we're going through this deck, some things you should keep in mind. The first thing is that a lot of the Antibody X decks in the BT9 meta are focused on building and raising up a single stack and then using that single stack's effects to win. Garurumon Antibody X does this by building up that single stack to level 5 as soon as possible. Once you get to level 5, you can start to use multiple effects to unsuspend Digimon on attack, which allows you to attack multiple times in a turn. Something you should keep in mind is that you need this stack to survive to win. If at any point your stack gets destroyed, it's really hard to make a comeback here in the BT9 meta. So for that fact, you have to keep in mind that a lot of the cards in this deck are made to keep your stack alive no matter what. So without further ado, let's actually get into the deck. First up for the Digitama, we're going to have 4 copies of not Whoopamon, but actually BT5's Tsunomon. Like I said before, you want to keep your stack alive, and the way that the Garurumon does this is by typically pumping up the Garurumon to a point where their opponents cannot get over it, or your opponent's security can't get over it. And because he has a plus 1000 effect if your Digimon has Omegamon or Garurumon in the name, he's kind of useful for that. So in the same vein, we're actually going to have 4 copies of the second blue starter deck, the starter deck 8 Gabumon. His inheritance effect gives him plus 1000 DP if you have 8 or more cards in hand. And again, we have to pump up our Wear Garurumons up as high as possible so that they don't get destroyed by security effects. So he's useful for that. So our next set of level 3s is going to be 4 copies of the BT5 Gabumon. He's a searcher. Open top 3, grab a Garurumon Digimon and an Omegamon named Digimon and add 1 of each to your hand. Rounding out the level 3s, we're going to have 4 copies of the new Gabumon Antibody X. He's great because he can Digivolve from a Gabumon for 0, which is extra card draw, and then on play and on Digivolve, he allows you to search the top 3, grab a Garurumon or Omegamon named Digimon and an Antibody X type card, and add 1 of each to your hand. Also, casual alternate art flex. Pulled this bad boy myself. Alright, so let's hop into our level 4s. Now, the level 4s I think is where you can get the most creative in the deck because it really focuses on what you want to make your game plan about. And so, for me, you're going to see kind of a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none route, where I like to have as many options as possible. However, you can run and be more focused in one area than another, but let's take a look at the cards. First up, I have 2 copies of BT1 Garurumon. On play, on play, he allows you to unrest one of your Digimon. This is going to be useful in combos later on when we get to our Metal Garurumons. Next up is the first white whale of the deck, and that is the promo Garurumon. He's pretty low cost, but what you really like is his inheritance effect, which allows you to draw 1 card if you have Garurumon in this Digimon's name whenever it attacks. That effect is not locked to once per turn, keep that in mind. So you can keep using this effect whenever you get the restand or reactive effects from your Garurumons and higher. Next up, I have 3 copies of the BT5 Garurumon. On Digivolve, if you have Gabumon in your sources, then he gains plus 1 memory, which makes the Digivolve cost essentially 1. And then inheritance on both turns, it gives your Digimon plus 1000 DP if you have Garurumon or Omegamon in the name. So again, we're trying to get over that threshold so that our opponent's security doesn't kill us, and he is very useful to do that with the inheritance effect here once we get to Wear Garurumon. And rounding out a level 4s, I've got 4 copies of the new Garurumon Antibody X. Digivolves from a Garurumon for 0, and on inheritance on both turns, if it has Garurumon or Omegamon in its name, and it will be destroyed by battle, then you can discard 2 cards from its sources with the same level, and the Digimon is not destroyed. Again, we want our stack to stick around as long as possible, so getting a Garurumon plus the Garurumon Antibody X is actually very strong as far as being able to keep your stack alive and make those late game finishers. So now that we get to the level 5s, we're really going to get to the powerhouses of the deck. And the first card that I want to show off here for the level 5s is going to be the promotional Wear Garurumon. So his effect on attack allows you to unrest if this Digimon has a Garurumon named Digimon in its sources once per turn. And then on inheritance, whenever you have 8 or more cards in your hand, then he gains security attack plus 1. Once you get to this guy, you can start swinging multiple times in a turn, but you have to keep in mind that with only 6,000 DP, he's likely not going to survive a lot of these swings. So the idea is, again, to use your plus 1,000s from things like the Gabumon, from the Tsunomon, and then using the Antibody X Garurumon effects to keep him around, to keep swinging. Once your Garurumon is all out of swings, and it's going to be up to your Garurumon Antibody X and the 4 copies of it that you have in the deck to continue that swinging session during the same turn. So again, Digivolve from Garurumon for 0, and then on Digivolve he becomes active, and if you have a source with Garurumon or Antibody X in its traits, you can take a level 4 Digimon on your opponent's side of the board and then send it back to their hand. You don't really care so much about that effect, but I mean, if in the case that they do have a level 4 blocker on the board, then this is a removal for that, so it is useful. Taking a look at the level 6 is where I think that my deck is going to like fork off Fast and Furious style from a lot of the other Antibody X Garurumon decks that you're going to see out there, and that is because I include 3 copies of the BT9 Metal Garurumon. Do you remember the Garurumon that we had earlier? Editing East, do me a favor, just throw that up there if you can, buddy. That card, that Garurumon, that allows you to unrest a Digimon whenever it's played. You can use this Metal Garurumon's effect, who can attack and then take a level 4 or lower Digimon from his sources, and then play it out on the board as if it were another Digimon to use that effect and then unrest him so he can attack again. You can also use something like the Antibody X Gabumon to play and then get another search effect from. So very useful, I think, for a couple of combos in the deck, and again, allows you to attack one more time. And so rounding out the level 6s, you've got 3 copies of the poster boy of the deck himself, Metal Garurumon Antibody X. Digivolves from a Metal Garurumon for 1 cost, which is fantastic, super cheap. And then whenever you Digivolve, you make him active, and then until the end of your opponent's next turn, he gains blocker. And then once per turn, whenever this Digimon unrests, if he has Metal Garurumon in its sources or an Antibody X card in its sources, then he allows you to take all your opponent's Digimon of the lowest level and return them all to your opponent's hand. Somehow, Mother D Reaper evades this effect. I swear, man, that deck is cancerous. But if you want to know why Mother D Reaper is a cancerous deck and why it's actually not a bad thing for the game, do me a favor, take a look at the video. I guess I'll put it up somewhere on the top right or top left. Take a look there. So, okay, let's hop into the options. The first one I'm going to show off is the new Antibody X card. Security effect, gain 1 memory, and then add this card to your hand. So you're always going to get this card even if it's checked in security. That way you can always use it to win the game. Main effect, you can put this card up under a Digimon on your side of the board that doesn't already have one of these cards up underneath it. So you can't stack these bad boys like this. It has to just be 1 per Digimon. And then on all turns, this card cannot be discarded up under a Digimon from its source. That means you cannot use this card for Digiburst effects. This card can also not be discarded by source stripping effects as well, which is very important. And then finally, whenever you attack, the Digimon can Digivolve into a Digimon with Antibody X in its traits. So that essentially gives every Digimon that has this the ability to attack and Digivolve at the same time, essentially giving a Digimon Blitz. And this being a blue deck means that we have to run the mandatory 1 copy of, you guessed it, Ice Wall. Give all your opponents Digimon on attack, memory -2, so they can't kill you next turn, basically. Again, this card is limited to 1, so only 1 copy per deck. So I've talked a lot about the effects of the Digimon in this deck to allow you to pump up your own Digimon's DP so that it cannot be defeated by security Digimon. Because if your stack falls, then the game is basically over for you. That being said, just for a little bit of insurance, I run 2 copies of the blue plugin, the high-speed plugin D that for 2 costs gives your Digimon jamming and it cannot be blocked. So if they do have a blocker, then this also bypasses that as well. And then on security, draw 1 card and then add this card to your hand. So you're always going to get this card's effect even if it's checked in security. Winding down on some of the options here, I've got 2 copies of blue memory boost. Look at the top 4 cards, grab 1 blue Digimon card, add it to your hand, and then delay on a later turn, grab +2 memory by spending this. It's important to build to your level 5s as soon as possible, and finding all the pieces that you need to get there, this is one more way to do that. So this next option card is going to be whenever you have a bad day, things aren't going your way in the match, and your maybe stack gets destroyed, or you have to catch up with your opponent, you have to get rid of one of their stacks. The idea is to play 2 copies of Metal Storm. It's kind of like a Kaida's Breath in that you can send back a level 6 or lower to your opponent's hand, and then if you have a Garurumon named Digimon, you can make it active on the board again, as well as if you have a Digimon with Antibody X in its sources, this card's cost gets reduced by 2, so it essentially becomes a 5 cost Kaida's Breath. Sorry, let me get my whack commenter voice here.
Kaida's Breath sends back any Digimon.
I know, but it's 7 cost, and this is 5 cost, so you get the idea. Come on. Alright, so now that we're down to just the tamers for the deck, look, this is where things are going to look really weird, but I've been playing with this deck a lot, and honestly, I prefer this over what you think would be the standard tamers for a blue deck. That being said, the first two tamers we're going to have in this deck are actually going to be 2 copies of Hero Amanakawa. These guys are also from BT8, by the way. Hero is a minimum 3 memory tamer, which is fantastic. But additionally, his secondary effect is if you have a Digimon with Gamamon in its name, which we don't care about, or a level 5 Digimon or higher who attacks, you can rest this tamer and give the Digimon plus 2000 DP. I like this because I want my stack to live so I can win the game. If I have this plus the Tsunomon and the Gabumon to give me plus 1000 each, I rest this guy and I throw it on a level 5 where Garurumon, who has 6000 DP, suddenly he's attacking for 10,000 and his chance of living skyrocket. You could probably run a couple copies of Davis if you wanted to. Post-editing me, do me a favor and put the Davis somewhere around here so folks can see what he looks like. He's a searcher. He allows you to look for a blue Digimon out of the top 3 as well as a green one. This deck only cares about the blues, but I mean, that is an option, but I prefer my Garurumon to live, and so that is why I run Hero. And then the last tamer that I have for the deck is just the Davis that I talked about before. I do have 1 in there, but I think a lot of folks would prefer to see 3 just because it's a blue card. It allows you to search, but again, I really need my Garurumon to live so I can win. So let's talk about the basic game plan very quickly. The idea is to start your Tsunomon here in Raising and build up to your Gabumon Antibody X for 0, your Garurumon Antibody X, and then get to your Were Garurumon as quickly as possible. And then the following turn, you're going to promote the Were Garurumon out there. He's going to have the ability to attack 2 times, so he's going to attack once, he's going to use his own effect to unrest himself, and then you're going to attack again. Again, 0 cost, you've done 2 attacks over already. Then you're going to grab your Were Garurumon Antibody X, you're going to Digivolve him for free because it's 0 cost from a Were Garurumon. He's going to unrest, and then you're going to remove a level 4 off the side of the board. Now he has access to the security attack plus 1 from the Were Garurumon before. And then you're going to, without attacking, you're going to Digivolve into your Metal Garurumon here, and he's going to be able to attack. You're going to pull out your level 4 Garurumon here. He's going to unrest your Metal Garurumon. You're going to swing again with the Garurumon. He's going to pull out the Antibody X Gabumon. And then you're going to, finally, to end the turn, you're going to Digivolve your Metal Garurumon Antibody X. Or Digivolve into your Metal Garurumon Antibody X here for 1 cost. He's going to become a blocker. He's going to get rid of all of the lowest level Digimon on your opponent's side of the board. And then the following turn with 3 Digimon here, you can typically finish the game out with 1 final security attack, if you haven't already won the game already. Again, it's 2 attacks from the Were Garurumon, and then so that's 2 security. That's 2 security there, plus the 2 security from the first Metal Garurumon, and then the 2 security from the Metal Garurumon second swing. And so, yeah, that's 6 down the drain. So if your opponent has already lost 1 security before this, then the game is over once you get to the Metal Garurumon Antibody X. All the while, you have other cards like the Hero Amanakawa, as well as the High Speed Plug-in D to keep this guy alive as much as possible throughout these swings. If you got some extra memory, you can play the plug-in. That way you don't have to worry about whatever he checks, as long as it's not some crazy option card. And because we're running the Red Tamer Hero Amanakawa, that gives us some flexibility to actually run a red option card in a delicate plan so that even if we check options, we don't care about them. So there's an option there as well. All right, folks, so that's going to be it for me here. If you want to see any other BT9 decks or any other types of videos regarding the Digimon TCG, let me know either in the comments below, or you can at me on Twitter. Sometimes I do polls in both of those places about the kinds of content I should do, and so I'm always taking your guys' thoughts into account. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Do me a favor, on your way out, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.